At the time of making this video, I am just under 2 weeks out from a trail half marathon. Now, this is the first half marathon that I've actually signed up for a race. So I have ran this distance before, especially when I was training for the Grand Canyon Rim to Rim. But this is the first time I'm going to be towing the line for an actual race for the half marathon distance. So today I'm going to take you through what all I'm doing to make sure that I'm feeling recovered and ready to roll in 2 weeks during this taper time. So if we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the personal trainer and running coach at Kathletics. Here at Kathletics, we're all about meeting you where you are in your fitness so you can approach hybrid training in a sustainable way. So as I mentioned earlier, I have ran past the half marathon mark, but it has been a little while because last year I didn't really run that much. I was working through an injury and I just wasn't really sure what all I could do. So prior to that injury, I believe I worked up to about 10-ish miles, and then I took plenty of time off from running while I figured out what was going on with my body. And then prior to that, I had been focusing more on hiking, and then the last time that I ran a longer distance was when I did the Grand Canyon Rim to Rim in 2022. So it's been about 3 years now, or over 3 years at this point, since I've ran a longer distance. But over that time, I have also improved my recovery. I've taken my nutrition a lot more seriously. I've changed a lot within how I approach training. So along with me being a personal trainer and a running coach, I've also experienced it personally of what things I need to change. And so I can give more information to you so you can use that in your own training when it comes to running a half marathon or really any distance that you're preparing for. So the first thing about my training is that over the last 12 weeks, of course, there was training prior to that as well. So I had some base fitness to begin with. But over the last 12 weeks, I have been ultra focused on the race portion. So since I have had my peak week, I had my peak week 2 weeks prior to the race. So then the rest of this time is going to lead into my taper. Now, if you're looking for more information on how to taper, I do recommend watching my video on tapering, which I'll link in the description below. So what I've been focused on over this whole training cycle, as well as what I'm going to be ultra focused on over these next couple weeks as I lead up to the race, is recovery. So recovery is going to include your nutrition, your sleep, your stress management, and of course your training volume. So when we enter that taper time, I'm going to be reducing my volume from about 30 to 40% down. This is going to give my body the opportunity to recover from having that higher peak mileage, or relatively higher. Of course, it's going to depend on what distances that you've been running and what your weekly volume has been looking like. But my approach is that I'm going to be down 30 to 40% over this next week, especially for my long run. And then over these other days, I'm going to be focusing on keeping my nutrition on point. This is not a time for me to be eating less. This goes for you as well. When you are tapering, this doesn't mean that we need to be pulling back from how much we're eating, because you need to be fueling and you need to make sure that you're supporting your body in order to prepare yourself for the activities that you have been doing and that you will be doing on the race day. So I'm making sure that I am eating well-balanced meals, getting my protein in, getting my carbs in, especially making sure that I'm getting fiber, fats. Again, these are things that we focus on throughout all year, all training seasons, but we want to make sure that we are not selling ourselves short and that we are on point during these recovery weeks or these taper weeks leading up to the race. I'm also really focused on making sure that I get at least 8 hours of sleep per night. Now, of course, the general recommendation is 7 to 9 hours, but I know that if I want to have my optimal recovery, I should really aim for 8 or more hours. So that's something I'm really taking seriously as well, is making sure that I'm getting at least 8 hours, and hopefully I can get even closer to 9. That would be ideal. Again, understanding that that may not always happen, but aiming high so that I'm not selling myself short. I'm also making sure that I'm keeping my stress managed. Now, I'm doing this through a few different ways. One, I've gathered lots of information over the last several years of how to manage my stress, how to manage my anxiety, depression, things that I have struggled with, in order for me to feel like I don't need to be doing a million things at once. I'm making sure that I am prepared at work, that I already got things done ahead of time so I can relax and just take things day by day. So I can actually spend time doing things that I enjoy, such as listening to my audiobooks, enjoying a show, playing a video game, spending time with my family, things like this that spark joy for me versus having to, oh my gosh, I need to do all these things for work. Oh my gosh, I need to find time to get my training in. And again, these things are going to happen. There's going to be times in your life where you're preparing for a race and you also have a million other things going on. hopefully you've worked that out ahead of time with your coach of how to properly manage that and that it is manageable. But if you have the opportunity to plan ahead and prepare yourself so you can actually take the time to recover and not feel like you're running around with your head cut off, then I think that can be a really beneficial thing and really add to your recovery time and add to your performance when you are planning to race in the near future. So these are all things that I've set in stone for myself so I can successfully show up for race day, hope for plan A. Of course, we have plan B and plan C as well, but we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. And that's what I feel like I'm doing right now. Honestly, I signed up for this half marathon without having expectations of blowing myself out of the water, hitting a bunch of PRs. I mostly wanted it to guide me and have a goal set in stone so I can build my aerobic fitness and build my mileage with it still being manageable, where like my peak hours spent on a trail was not going to exceed some crazy amount like when I was training for the rim to rim and spending multiple hours every weekend out on the trails. This allowed me to still have more balance, we'll say, in life by being able to do my strength training, being able to show up for work and be my best at work, and also still have time to do my cardio and make sure that I'm getting enough miles on my feet in order to be prepared for this half marathon. So again, I have my plans A, B, and C all set up, hoping for the best, but I am trying to set myself up for the most success by still taking it seriously and still showing up for myself. If you're also wanting to show up feeling good, feeling ready, and just taking on whatever distance it is between a 5K and a marathon, and you're ready to roll, click the link in the description for one-on-one online coaching, because that's a great opportunity for you to build your aerobic base over this fall. Make sure that we are tuning things up over that time and feeling really ready to go once it comes springtime for that race. If you found this video helpful for your own taper or your own planning of your race, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, be sure to like, subscribe, and then we'll see you in the next one.